Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we boys and girls, children of all ages, we have a basically the extra show going on. We obviously recorded a little bit earlier, and it'll be up on Facebook as well as YouTube pretty soon. But after the show, we happen to have our boy Mean Gene pop in, coming in the clutch, hopping on the chat with us, and he's here today to basically have this little sparring matchup with one people's champion. You could maybe call it a refresher before he gets to Carl Coulange, aka the Chosen One, or this may be the bout that basically is going to take it by storm. But I just want to give the floor to Mr. Mean Gene right here. What's going on, man? Let me know what's on your mind.
All right, so here we go. On the sports hit list, we got a little feud between Carl and Ray, Carl and Greg, and a bunch of shit. But on the backstage, bro, we got a little thing here between me and Mr. Randy Judas Lewis. See, he came on here full of energy talking about when it came to Kevin Owens in particular. Because Kevin Owens, he backed out because, the coronavirus scare, which was completely understandable. I told y'all last week that this was perfectly fine. Kevin Owens, he leaving, a bunch of people, they wanted to leave, they come back. But then I told Randy, I said, Randy, Kevin Owens is going to come back the following week. Randy, let me tell you, this boy pumped out his chest. He's like, nah, man, he's not coming back till this whole thing gets resolved. I said, we're not going to let you do that, Randy. So, lo and behold, we watched this week of Raw. Who did we see pop up on the Kevin Owens show? Was it Bob Backlund? No. Was it Snitsky? No. Was it Nakamura, Randy? No. Who did you see on the Kevin Owens show? Kevin Owens. I said, man, the first person that popped in my head was Randy. I said, damn. Randy, were you watching? Let me just ask this though. Randy, were you watching Raw when it happened?
Honestly, no,
Yeah.
I was not. I was somewhere else that night.
I wish you were watching Raw when it happened because I was gung-ho, man. I was ready to type at you saying, yo, Randy, open the TV, man. I need you to tune in to Raw real quick. And I said, man, Kevin Owens is here. This dude was happy, having a good time, obviously doing his little promo with Seth, which, of course, that's the six-man tag, and Ray doing that eye-for-eye shit, whatever. We ain't worried about that. But the point is, Kevin Owens showed up to work. So here's Randy Judas Lewis owes your boy an apology for underestimating my guy. I told y'all KO is my guy. There's a reason why Vince McMahon likes Kevin Owens more than Sami Zayn. There's a reason why Kevin Owens got a happy birthday. Did you see that happy birthday message that he gave Kevin Owens? Ooh, that boy went in. He went in. You would have thought Kevin Owens was his son with that birthday message. Well, then again, we know birthday message he gave his son, but we're not going to talk about that. But I said, bro, Kevin Owens is one of Vince's guys. Ain't no way Kevin Owens not going to show up to work. He one of the guys. He one of the warriors. One of the warriors to show up to work, bro. The only people that don't show up to work are people with pre-existing conditions and cowards. So, Randy, that apology, if you will, right now.
Apologize. On South Park.
Let's go.
Go ahead.
Pump your chest out and say it. I'm sorry for doubting you.
Is this what this is all about? You're happy because he came back to one show?
You're damn right, because he's going to be coming back for a bunch of other shows after that. You already know. You already know Kevin Owens, bro. Coming to work. That's what we do.
Is this why I've been summoned for extra time?
That's exactly why you've been summoned, because you were bumping your chest out talking about Kevin Owens coming.
Is this why you took the whole hour and 20-some minutes that we were doing the show prior, when you're going to your GNC run, to come back and summon me for this little thing?
Hey, bro, look.
Again, it doesn't matter what you think. Because Kevin Owens come back. Sure, was I wrong? I'm the first person to admit when they are wrong, but to say to apologize.
Apologize.
Kevin Owens did nothing to me. I didn't slander Kevin Owens' name. Because he wanted to make sure that he and his family was safe. I'm not the one that slandered, Kevin Owens, saying that he took his ball and went home. I'm not the one that nitpicked and slandered Kevin Owens for basically having legitimate reason why he left in the first place, albeit before a major event that I repeatedly have said during that time should have never happened in the first place. I never went at Kevin Owens for the reasons you're going at Mr. Roman Reigns. This ain't about Kevin Owens. It's not about me.
Bring that guy up. That guy can't stop opening his mouth on social media. But this ain't about Roman Reigns.
I wasn't someone. No, hey, shut your mouth. You had your time. This wasn't about me. This wasn't about Kevin Owens. This was your insatiable need to nitpick and continue to draw your ire of the Samoan Bulldozer. No, I'm sorry, Samoa Joe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The big dog, Roman Reigns. This wasn't about, KO, who I, for one, am a huge fan of. It was not about Kevin Owens returning. Was I wrong on the timetable? Perhaps. Was I wrong? He wasn't gonna, prolong, his hiatus. Of course. Okay, I copped to that. You were right. He came back.
There we go.
He came back this past Monday night in a segment which led to a tag team match. Now, for you to summon me in extra time to say that I owe you an apology is laughable because the People's Champion has nothing, and the champ means nothing to be apologetic about, because I made my stance completely clear last week when I served you a fresh, hot L, and that is facts.
And you're taking yours this week?
2, this week, there ain't no L's for you to hand me because...
Yes, there is. The L of you.
Kevin Owens came back?
Coming back. That's right.
Kevin Owens came back. That's my L. That's my L.
That's right. You're going to take it.
Future GOAT, Mean Gene. There's a reason why this beautiful championship belt is behind here, and the reason why they call me the People's Champ. Because I bring it every single day. I keep the energy 24/7, 365, and right now here in overtime because you summoned me.
Yes, sir.
Now you thought you were gonna get an apology because you felt you were on your high horse today because you wanted to take the victory lap before your ass gets handed to by Carl Coulange, a.k.a. the chosen one. By the way, between him and Ray Jarvis, I'm going to take the side that I've always taken, and that's the People's Champ side. Because when it comes to the Boston Celtics, they can kick the rocks. I don't like Paul Pierce. I don't like the damn Celtics. Sure, KG was my guy, but that's just another story for another day. I'm not choosing sides, Carl, and you know I love you, brother, but I'm just choosing my side, and that's mine. As it pertains to you summoning me today, right now, overtime, past when we had our own show for an hour, you wanted to come here on your own sweet time from parts unknown, from an undisclosed location to hand me what? An L because Kevin Owens came back? You think that validates your claim on why Roman Reigns is back home? No.
We don't talk about no Roman Reigns, bro. Y'all keep bringing him up. I don't bring up Roman Reigns. Y'all keep bringing him up.
It wasn't about Kevin Owens.
It was for me.
Listen. If it was about Kevin Owens, if it was truly about Kevin Owens, right? You wouldn't have had to summon me and call me Judas, call me out of my name, and tell me, oh, Kevin Owens is back. The shop is, everything is going back to normal. He's here. Yay! No. See, Kevin Owens, on his own volition, went back for reasons unbeknownst to Kevin Owens. And for you to parade as if it's the biggest victory, that you've had since getting handed your biggest L last week, it doesn't tell the entire story because it really isn't about Kevin Owens. It goes back to your insatiable need to drive that wedge on why Roman Reigns has been home for the last 3 months.
We're not worried about Roman Reigns. When I brought you the Kevin Owens comparison, I want you to understand. When I tell you,
COVID,
Sami Zayn, the coward, Kevin Owens, the warrior. That's my whole thing here. It ain't about no Roman Reigns.
Sami
It's
Zayn.
about Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Why you see there's a difference between the two of them? Why Vince trusts one more than the other? Why one has gotten more championship opportunities than the other one? That's what you got to understand, bro.
First of all,
Especially with now. Kevin Owens has more of a reason than Sami Zayn to stay home because he's got a family. He's got a son with pre-existing conditions. Kevin Owens, if anything, would be the one you'd expect to be home. But who's here? Kevin Owens. Who's not here? Sami Zayn. What does he have at home? No wife, no girlfriend, no kids, a bunch of pets, and pets. That's nothing. A big fancy home, that's all he's got. The boy's living at home with his pets. He ain't got nothing. Oh, excuse me. So, you show up to work for that time, but you won't show up to that work. And even worse than that is the fact that he tried to take the Intercontinental Championship home with him. Okay? I think that's probably why if I had to rate between him and Roman, I'd have probably give maybe a slight edge to Sami Zayn because of what he tried to do. I gave y'all the thing with Roman Reigns, his pre-existing condition, whatever he had, even though that's not the reason why he said he left. He said he left because of his family. But don't worry about that. We're gonna discuss something about that later on, probably next week or something. Sami Zayn, on the other hand, we have the whole Corona thing going on right now. This man takes it upon himself. Where you had people like Roman or Colorado, they leave prior before WrestleMania. This guy, Sami Zayn, takes it upon himself to go to WrestleMania, defend the title, and then win it, knowing he gonna win that shit, retain that shit, and then literally the next day, if not the same week, he didn't even show up to the SmackDown after that. He just said, "I'm out, peace, I'm not coming back." So that kind of shit is like, nah, bro, you ain't doing that, because he thought he could keep the Intercontinental Championship and go home with it. That's not how this shit works, bro. Either you should, we're not handing Make-A-Wish around here, bro. We're not gonna say, "Here, Sam, I've always wanted to win the Intercontinental Championship." "Oh, that's your wish? Okay, Sammy, here's the Intercontinental Championship. But you also have to work." No, I'm not going to work. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to retain this championship, and I'm going to dip. That's not how this shit works. So, Sami Zayn, I know you're not watching this at all, but if you were, I'd have told you, stay your ass home. You don't need to come back because we don't need you back. We got an Intercontinental, as much as y'all probably want to come on and do this. Y'all got to admit, the Intercontinental Championship tournament was fire. That was fire. We did not have a bad match on that tournament, man, which I'm pretty surprised about, given that there was some people that we were looking at like, yeah, you know what I mean? So we can say that the Intercontinental Championship tournament was a great idea. Looking back on it, especially now, who we have as champion. WWE's current full-time GOAT, AJ Styles, my guy. And even now, as you're seeing, AJ Styles' IC title run right now. Boy showing up, another one who's got family and a wife at home, showing up to work. My man is on here grinding, defending the Intercontinental Championship because he knows. He knows what's up. He knows when you have this championship, you come to work. You don't take the championship and go home with that. And that's probably the one thing I never asked you about, Randy. How you feeling about a guy like, let's scratch the Roman Reigns shit. We ain't going to talk about him. Let's talk about Sami Zayn. If you the boss, you going to be content with somebody taking your championship, the championship you gave him. He goes into the biggest show of the year. He defends this championship, and then literally the same week, he says, "I'm not coming. I'm not coming to the SmackDown after." And then he takes a prolonged time. "I'm not coming back to this week. I'm not coming back next week. I'm not coming back the week after." As the boss, you're going to sit here and say, "Oh, yeah, I'm perfectly cool with that, man. Take as long time as you want." You going to accept that? That's my question.
For the first time in the last 2 weeks, you bring up a fair argument.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do I agree the fact that Sami Zayn took the title and went home? No. Did he have every right to go and, protect himself from this situation? Yes. You see it as a cowardice?
While he's champion?
I didn't put the title aside. I said, like you said, I didn't agree with him taking the title. But I agree with the fact that if he felt like he wanted to go out, go. Like, shoot, it's my life over. I'd rather choose my life over a job any day. Regardless of how much, you're paying me and how the kind of status that I have, my life is more important. And Sami decided to take that. It just so happens that he was an Intercontinental Championship champion during that time. Do I fault him for that? No, they could have worked something out. That's that. You know,
Gonna lose to
Sammy,
Bryan at WrestleMania and then dip.
Sammy honored his date, and he dipped. I mean,
Here's a question actually for the floor, because just basing off of this, and Mean Gene, you made a astute point in regards to Kevin Owens and versus Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn had the Intercontinental Championship going into it. He won it, but beforehand, he wasn't so much, in the cards in relation to like storyline wise, as especially in comparison to Kevin Owens. Do you think that plays a role into it? The fact that Kevin Owens, Universal Champion, Festival of Friendship, the team with Jericho, basically him being on the marquee more so than Sami Zayn. Does that play a role in like, all right, I mean, he booked me right. He did my character justice. I'm a rock with him versus people who've been clamoring for Sami Zayn to like come up and like, you know what? He's held me down. What's the point of me pulling up? I'm just gonna be in a nothing feud. Shinsuke did nothing with this title anyway. What am I gonna do? What, like, is there any weight to that? The fact that like he doesn't have that backing of Vince that he left.
You want to go, Randy, or do I?
I would say that, I mean, even prior to WrestleMania, you kind of saw like, let's be quite honest, in terms of the dynamic between Zayn and KO, KO was always going to be the bigger star because he is the better star between the two. And not excluding Sami Zayn's talent and what he has to offer. I do think that in that regard, Sami Zayn is criminally underrated in that aspect. He can, be a great character or a great foil and a solid champion in that regard. It's just the fact that in true to Vince fashion, it's usually the bigger the body, the bigger the body and how you perceive on TV and how your character is and how it resonates. And checking off those boxes, that's what Vince is going to push more than someone who's Sami Zayn or Sami Zayn's, archetype. Now, going into WrestleMania, there was a solid story around him and Daniel Bryan, which I thought was going to continue after WrestleMania. But unfortunately, COVID did hit. And during the rumblings, and Sami Zayn is not one to hold his tongue. And that's the thing that between him, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn shares. So in terms of the COVID situation, Sami Zayn spoke out against it even before it went to Full Sail, and how certain things have to be taken care of, certain measures have to be taken. So in hindsight, Sammy kind of read the room and realized, all right, if this shit gets worse, I got to dip. He honored his WrestleMania date, and he left. It just so happened the fact that they actually gave him the win at WrestleMania, his first and for now only WrestleMania win. It just so happened that he was a champion leaving. But I'm pretty sure he had those plans on leaving. And around that time, WWE did say it was okay for you not to, if you feel like you're not going to come to the show, then don't come. And I'm pretty sure they came to that agreement. It wasn't so the fact that he left Vince high and dry. I'm pretty sure they had that talk. Kevin Owens, in terms of where he is in the company and how fast he's gotten to that level to the company, he's been in Vince's ear. In terms of what he says, it does hold more weight with Vince than opposed to Sami Zayn. So when KO says something about the COVID situation, Vince is more applicable to listen to KO rather than to Sami. And it's fucked up how it is because for me, I think of them as equal in terms of their capabilities. But in terms of Vince's mind, how he markets his, his employees, KO is the bigger name.
And you know what? The thing is, like, it goes like opposite directions. You talk about like how Vince is receptive towards it. You could think about how like KO is receptive towards it. The reason why I bring this up is because like a name that was mentioned is Daniel Bryan, right? There was rumblings at the very first week, and like we talked about it through the Roman situation, et cetera, where he had his own pre-existing situation with his asthmatic symptoms that was brought up in the Bella Twins podcast, and that hasn't been a point of note because he's so prominent on TV. But the thing is that he's gotten enough of stroke in the company per se, as it pertains to like not know-how and say, but it's just like I am indebted to this company for having the cachet that I do. So I have somewhat of an obligation to basically uphold that, as opposed to a person like, you know, let's say the people who were recently fired or potentially Sami Zayn. So, Mean Gene, do you agree like or disagree that the fact that, you know, the booking leading up towards this thing,
Okay.
Intercontinental Championship aside, that holds some weight to that?
Okay. I'm gonna just say this. Like I know I like first of all, when I first saw Kevin Owens debut in NXT, and then
Mm,
I saw what he did, and then I saw what he was going towards becoming NXT champion, I knew then this guy was gonna be more profitable than Sami Zayn.
yeah.
Because Kevin Owens is the type of guy that he has proven, like, granted Sami Zayn can also in a little bit, but the thing is that when it comes to like being both a heel and a babyface, Kevin Owens has shown that he can excel at both. Like, if you need him to be a badass heel, he's going to do that. If you need him to be a top babyface of this company, if y'all had the potential, he could do it. And he showed that when he was feuding with Shane McMahon. Remember, he's the one that got Shane McMahon out of power, you know? And during that time, you could argue Kevin Owens was is not, like, I think probably Becky's thing was around that time. So let's say maybe third, top three baby faces in this company, it was Kevin Owens, especially with mostly because of what Shane McMahon was doing. So, and then you have Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn's shtick is that he's not a badass heel. He's an annoying heel. He's the guy that if you see him on the street, the chances of you not punching this man in the face would be slim. But as a babyface, he's fantastic. He can easily, if you wanted to, be the top babyface of this thing. And I think the problem with Sami Zayn is the fact that we had a Daniel Bryan here. Sami Zayn's shtick of being the underdog is basically what Daniel Bryan's thing was when he was rising to the top, leading to the big WrestleMania thing, and that's what's going on. But when it comes to Vince's mindset, I get why he sees Kevin Owens more than he does Sami Zayn. Like, or personally, in my opinion, this will probably be a debate that we have later on. I think Kevin Owens was the out of all the NXT championships that Triple H has had, Kevin Owens to me was the best. But we can talk about that another different date. Even though, man, I'll share a little bit. Like, just because I feel like when he was there, NXT was fire. Like, this man was in multiple feuds, and I mean from the Finn Balor to the Adrian Neville's to the John Cena's. This guy was everywhere. He was everywhere, and I could put arguably was one of the big reasons why NXT got such the pop that it did, especially during that. Nobody can forget that debut he made on Raw when he powerbombed Cena and then stepped on the United States Championship and then went on to beat John Cena clean at Elimination Chamber. You know what I mean? So I think during that point, we kind of saw the direction he was going. Like, granted, yes, his Universal Championship reign wasn't all that great, but I think what showed everybody the fact that Vince really, really like, yo, I'm a Kevin Owens guy, was when he had Kevin Owens deliver that headbutt to him on SmackDown, if y'all remember that. Gave him the headbutt, gave him the super kick, and gave him the frog splash. Even Kevin Owens went on an interview and said that when he was doing the segment where he was shaking Vince's hand, Vince McMahon was like, yeah, man. Like, when he was doing the headbutt, like, you want me to headbutt you? Yeah, man, headbutt. And make sure it hurt. You got to headbutt me hard, yo. And then he did it. So it's like that showed you right there the kind of complete trust and faith that Vince McMahon has in Kevin Owens. And again, like I told you, like when I was saying earlier, the birthday tweet that he gave Kevin Owens. I'm like, Vince McMahon doesn't hand out birthday tweets like that. When Vince McMahon gives you a birthday tweet, you know you mean something to him. Especially if he goes in depth about, like, I'm not saying he wrote an entire paragraph for Kevin Owens, but he wrote a pretty lengthy sentence where you're like, oh, okay. Like, if there was any doubt that this man had no faith in Kevin Owens, that tweet right there could show everybody. As even if the segment where he had Kevin Owens beat him up didn't show it, that tweet right there showed you that he truly cares about Kevin Owens and he sees Kevin Owens as one of his guys. And as you're seeing now, Kevin Owens is proving it all the time. Like, arguably he reminds me of like the Miz, where it's like every championship Kevin Owens has, he tries to make it mean something. Even when the booking doesn't agree with him, he tries to make it mean something. Like, hell, his Universal Championship reign is a big example of that. He carried that championship with such prestige and honor, even though a lot of us back then was shitting on that belt saying, ugh, orange title. I mean, not orange title, excuse me, strawberry title. What the hell is that? That title's disgusting. Why is Kevin Owens walking around that shit like that? And it's like, no, he carried that shit with pride. He wore that shit, even though he could have easily told, well, I'm not saying easily, but he could have like said something like, bro, even to this day, I still think that Universal Championship is trash, but that's neither here or there. But he
Agreed.
goes in there, holds that thing with prestige. He carries it with honor. even when they were like, I can make an argument they were kind of burying his Universal Championship run, especially when they were feeding him to the United States champion at the time, Roman Reigns. I don't know how you have the mid-card championship look better than the top championship of your show, but that's neither here or there. And he took that thing and he ran with it. His United States championship run on SmackDown, such good shit. His Intercontinental Championship run. I don't know if he had that Intercontinental Championship run on SmackDown. I know he had it on Raw. I don't know if he did it on SmackDown. Did he have it on SmackDown too?
I don't remember it on SmackDown. I do remember.
I don't know. Okay, because I know he had it on Raw with the whole thing with him and Ryback.
Yeah.
But I don't think he had it on SmackDown. But his United States Championship run, fantastic stuff. Hell, they've given him that title I think 2 or 3 times already. Like I think his feud with AJ Styles on SmackDown was fantastic. Nobody can say that was a terrible feud.
I will go a step further in terms of what you said about Kevin Owens being a reliable person for Vince. KO and go with me on this. Like KO and you could say the same thing, like in terms of reliability to Samoa Joe in a sense. They're basically the same person, except one gets injured at the wrong time.
Yeah.
At the worst inconceivable time. They're the same person.
It'd be hurt.
Stone Cold Steve Austin has always reiterated if he had to push anybody in a company for WWE, he pined for those 2 guys for the longest time.
KO and Joe?
Was Kevin Owens when he was Kevin Steen and Samoa Joe. He said that had you had these guys since the inception, I'm pretty sure the landscape would have been different. But the fact that even the fact that you have them now, there's so much you can still do with them. And with Samoa Joe being accustomed and with Samoa Joe being in commentary and accepting the fact that he's in commentary for now until he's fully healed, I guarantee you, don't be shocked if like Vince repays him saying, "All right, you're ready to come back."
Bro, I know. When it comes to like I've been saying we've had a track record of this, man. People who the wrestlers who become commentators usually end up winning the WWE Championship, man. CM Punk was a commentator before he became WWE Champion.
Well, Punk kind of had to force it.
All right.
He kind of had to force that.
I know.
I mean, hey, listen, he was in the match before. He was penciled in for the match before the pipe bomb happened. So
yeah, and I was looking at WWE's track record with these commentators turning WWE champions. I said, you know what? There's a strong chance Samoa Joe can have it, and I personally want to see that happen. Like we still want to see this for years. I still feel like to this day he should have beaten Brock at Great Balls of Fire for that championship. I still do. Okay. And it's like that was probably and again people are bringing this up and like looking back on it, I kind of see what people are talking about. The feud that he had with AJ Styles, which was such good shit. That was one of the best feuds on SmackDown. I like looking back on it now. As much as I love AJ Styles, if Joe had won the title from him, I would not have been disappointed. I would not have been upset because it would have been like, bro, like this is Samoa Joe is doing a lot of stuff right now. Okay.
Even if Joe won it at SummerSlam. I wouldn't be mad if they hot potato it back because the story was going to end up having AJ win it back regardless.
Yeah,
exactly. Like the storyline was writing itself, bro.
Yeah, it played off of a certain emotion. Like it goes back to like one of those things where your character could be built on. Let's say I mentioned it earlier on in the earlier episodes. You know, you have a character that's built on prestige, a character that's built on mayhem. AJ Styles built on prestige because he's phenomenal. But once you bring his family into it, he's built on mayhem. He's trying to break your neck. But in the span of that, you could lose your head and lose your title as a result. So, you know, it clearly, I agree 100%.
All right,
but go ahead, Randy.
Let's bring this back real quick in terms of, you know, KO like coming back and Wow's summon and whatnot.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens is reliable. Kevin Owens came back because, for one, he's reliable. I'm pretty sure he's still hurt from WrestleMania. And it's kind of like, what would Taker do? And I'm pretty sure KO is of that cloth. You know, he's from a much younger generation.
Yeah, he's an old school guy.
He bleeds old school. And loyalty is something that Vince always repays back. No matter how much he feeds you terrible shit, he always gives it back to you in tenfold.
Facts.
And for Kevin Owens, I'm pretty sure because he's a family guy, I wouldn't have put it in the realm of possibility if he did stay out, because that's who he is as a human being. And the fact that he's always been outspoken as well as Sami Zayn, which is why, like, they both had the same stance. It's just the fact that, for Kevin's sake, he's already in with Vince. Sami Zayn, like, his level of, like, not giving a fuck and doing what he wants to do, he can do that because for Kev, you're in with Vince.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, even if you got the chance to do whatever you want to do, you still have to find some way to kind of meet Vince in the middle and kind of pay it back or pay it forward for Vince, which is why he was able to come back. I'm pretty sure if you ask Kevin, he'd prefer to be home with his kids. But because of the fact that he's in such a standing with Vince, it's hard for him to say no, a la the Taker effect. So he has to go and basically work. He's not doing it begrudgingly because he knows his place. So he's going to go in and work. That's what he's going to do. And he's going to do it to the best of his ability, even if he's not 100%, because that's who Kevin Owens is. As opposed to Sami Zayn and the aforementioned who stayed away or hasn't been, back to work, it goes for them. And KO in some ways have found his voice with Vince to, voice his opinions and for him to take it with value and not just with a grain of salt. As opposed to Sami is like, okay, you're not really high in the card anyway, so you can do whatever you want to do.
And then you know what the thing is?
There's more money on Kevin than there is to Sami. And it's fucked up, but that's just the law of the nation. Why?
I think that, to touch on that, a thing that, is kind of commonly overlooked because we don't have everything going on, with COVID, is just the factor of, the situation in Saudi Arabia, all of these different things that has led up to this moment that, Sami Zayn, not going overseas to go perform at those shows. Kevin Owens has backed him, but the driving force always was Sami Zayn. Oh, Sami Zayn was essentially that person to basically be like, we need to make this pit stop on the road. And the driver is Vince, and he's just like, oh, fuck, really? And then Kevin...
Wasn't the reason why Zayn couldn't do the Saudi thing because of his religion?
Yes.
Yeah,
but,
so like I get
no,
why
he'd been a dead man. Well, what I'm saying is that also that adds some weight to the situation because even though it's justified, it's like, put it this way. You're on the road, you have a couple people in your car, you're trying to reach a destination at a certain time. Sami Zayn is a person like, yo, we need to get off the road, I need to do something. Vince, it may be justified. He's driving the wheel and he's just like, really, I'm in the middle lane. There's a truck right next to me. And he's like, we need to get off the road. So it's one of those things where it kind of builds up. Even though it's justified in Sami Zayn's case, whether or not it's justified in his case, it may also play a role because I can guarantee you that the reason why Sami Zayn didn't get a certain push 2 years, 3 years ago was because those Saudi Arabia deals were starting to pop up and he wasn't able to appear on shows to further storylines. And that may lead to certain level of distrust and or a certain level of, I don't need to show up if COVID happens because they don't have that urgency to have creative around me as opposed to a person who is reliable as a Miz and in this particular situation, Kevin Owens.
Yeah, and you see, that's the thing. Because with Sami Zayn, even before the whole Saudi deal was going on, I think at some point Vince just had it in his mind, like, bro, this ain't the guy I'm gonna try to push. Like the one thing I will give him though is that when he turned Sami Zayn heel, I forgot what year that was, 2018, 2019, I don't remember.
It was 2018, the feud with Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens.
Yeah. So when he turned heel, I think at that point they wanted to see where this whole thing could go. Now, granted, I'm still in the belief that Vince never really saw anything in Sami Zayn. I think he looked at Sami Zayn and said, I already have one of those. So his name's Daniel Bryan. I don't need another one of those. So he just like, the fact that he never won titles for years, I think just showed everybody, even though we were clamoring for it. Now, I'm not going to hold you. I was one of those people. I said Sami Zayn being WWE champion was never going to happen. I said that. That was never going to happen. But Sami Zayn being Intercontinental champion, being United States champion, and then and maybe doing kind of like what the Miz did remember when Miz was on SmackDown, he was Intercontinental Champion. This guy had the Intercontinental Championship so high that it was him and AJ running this show, and it's like that shocked me because to have a WWE to have your WWE champion be AJ Styles, his reign was fantastic, and you got Miz who's like right there, like it's not even like a big gap between them when it comes to like popularity, clout, the
You can
feuds that they
argue.
were having. They were like near neck and neck
Yeah.
in what was going on, which is why SmackDown was such hot shit when it was back then. Like you had Miz feuding with Dolph Ziggler, feuding with Daniel Bryan. Like people Miz was that good that he got people to actually give a damn about Dolph Ziggler again. And I'm not saying Dolph Ziggler was just like a people that they just threw him away, but like with that title versus career thing,
Yeah.
you actually gave a damn. You're like, yo, Dolph Ziggler was getting loud cheers, man. Like loud cheers. Remnants like not as big as his world championship title win at like 2013, 2014? It was one of those. One of that time. Not as high as that, but it was like pretty up there, you know? And I think Sami Zayn as mid-card champion could have gotten somewhere around that because I was thinking a bunch of people he could have feuded with. Hell, a feud between him and Sheamus would have been great for me if we were fighting for a title, especially with Sheamus's motivation being that he wants to be the ultimate Grand Slam champion. The Intercontinental Championship is the only thing that he's missing. So we could have easily used that as a motivator, and Sami Zayn being the babyface that he is, overcoming the odds and whatever. So I think that would have been happening. But the problem is that, again, like what you pointed out, maybe the Saudi thing, maybe the Saudi thing was a part of a reason for that, because he dead ass couldn't show up, because if he did, he would have died. Okay, like I know this is like, oh, I'm not even gonna be PG about this. If Sami Zayn had walked into Saudi Arabia with his religion, he'd have probably been dead. Him and Aleister Black both, which is why they both did a good thing to not show up. But when it comes to this COVID thing, like I know me and Randy differ on Sami Zayn's stance on this. Like I'm still gonna be on this. Like Sami Zayn, again, that's why I put I would probably never tell the 434 people this. This is why I would put Sami Zayn leaving Mania slightly above Roman Reigns, but they'll never find that out.
Yeah.
Slightly above, because this man knew he was going in as champion. He knew it. He knew he was going in as champion. He knew he was going to retain that thing, and then he went out. I'm sorry, I can't believe that this man made his decision a day after COVID. I'm in a firm belief. I believe he literally made this the same week that I'm going to go into Mania, because let's be honest, if we're being realists here, if you're the champion and they told you you're going into the biggest show of the year and you're going to fight Daniel Bryan and you're in a sort of a hottish feud right now, and you're going to retain, seriously, any one of us can tell me that I'm not going to show up, because I'll tell you right now, if they told me that, you best believe I'm showing up. If you're telling me I'm the champion and I can retain, I'm out of here. But the difference is obviously is that I would have continued showing up. Sami Zayn chose not to show up. He chose to retain his championship and chose to dip. He decided to sit his ass home with the title. And it's not even the fact that WWE hasn't been calling him, because I've read the reports. They've been calling him like probably once a week or something. They've been consistent in this. Like, yo, Sami Zayn, like, you coming now? And he's still giving them the runaround. Like, I'm not showing up because of what's going on. Now, granted, with when the COVID-19 thing spiked in the Performance Center, I give him that. If he didn't want to show up, at that time, I was like, all right, like, I get it. But it's like, bro, prior to that, especially with now, the fact that you got a bunch of talent, like a lot of the talent is back to work, bro. A lot of them. And what you got to expect, even like I give credit to Vince for doing this, is that they're wearing masks now. Now, granted, I heard AEW is not doing masks with the fans, but we're not going to talk about them. But we're taking steps. We're taking good steps. And you see, ever since then, we have not had a hint of COVID, and I don't think we're ever going to get it. In fact, I don't think. I'm a no. So, Randy, if I turn out to be wrong and we get another case of COVID on here, I'm going to show up on here and I will apologize to you, because I'm telling you this right now. I firmly believe we will not get another case of COVID in here, because we put in these strict rules. Hell, I don't know if you've heard about
They should have done it since day one.
Hey, no, but hey, listen, no, to his point, hey, listen, if there's no strand of COVID,
hey, I'd be the first one to say,
man of his word, right here, Mean Gene.
I'm going to keep it in, because
I'll give you a standing ovation. But until then, until I see without a shadow of a doubt that they're not cutting corners like they've always done, then hey,
exactly. And this won't be this thing, but this thing won't end until we actually get a vaccine for COVID. If we get a vaccine for COVID, it's tested, it's legalized, all that good business. And then this man wants to choose himself to show him love. I'm like, nah, bro, like we ain't doing that because we got no cases and we ain't gonna get no cases. That's why I told you guys when it came to the Roman Reigns thing that he should not be showing up until COVID is dealt with. And I'm talking about we got a vaccine, it's legalized, and we putting it out. That's when he shows up. Because if he shows up prior to that, y'all best believe the next day your boy's gonna be on the 434 and he's gonna call Roman's ass out. Because what he said, even though what I was gonna give him a thing for was that he, because of leukemia thing, the prior health conditions. Okay, cool. You want to go because of that? Perfectly fine with that. But that's not what he wants to use. He could have used that excuse, and I would have been just fine with that. But that's not what he wants to use. The excuse he wants to use is that he did it for his family. So I'm saying, since you want to keep that, I want you to keep that same energy. Because if you show up before COVID is dealt with, I'm going to come up on here and I'm going to call your lying ass out. Because then I would know you lied. But if he shows up after, you best believe I'm probably going to be thrown up in my stomach. But I'm going to come on here and I will apologize to him. I will give him a firm apology. I will say it with my chest out, probably disgusted at every word I'm going to say. But I'm going to say, Roman, I apologize.
We're going to give you all the time that you need to get it. You're probably going to be one of those sitcoms. I'm sorry.
They're gonna give me this because they know when the future go persona goes on the 434 and he tells an apology. It's very rare. It is very rare because what I say it with my chest out and I believe everything I say. So if he comes back, if he comes back before, he's getting the smoke. He comes back after, he's getting a firm apology, a deep, sincere apology that again I'll probably be thrown up in my stomach as I say it, but it's going to be sincere and it's going to be heartfelt because I'm going to say, all right, bro, you're a man of your word. You're a man of your word, so I'm going to be a man of my word. I'm going to apologize to you. But when it comes to the Sami Zayn shit, nah, bro, you ain't getting no pass because you ain't got no pre-existing condition. You ain't got no wife and kids at home. You ain't got nothing except pets. Pets in a nice house. And I heard that with WWE, they're starting to freeze these people's contracts out because you're choosing not to work. I mean, hey, Sammy, this is the hand you want to deal with. Like if you choosing not to show up, you got to understand this is a double-edged sword, all right? Because we ain't in the business of playing games right now. I told y'all, like I said earlier, this ain't no Make-A-Wish. When you're a champion, your ass is showing up to work. You don't want to show up to work? That's fine. But don't be surprised if you don't get a title ever again. Don't be surprised if then again, how low can they push Sami Zayn? Because he's been pushed low for years now. So I don't know how deep down the sewer they could put him down there. So if he goes back to that,
this first title.
Exactly. So if he goes back to that, don't be surprised. Hell, if he ends up getting released, don't be surprised about that. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying if it does, nobody should be surprised about that because again, peoples are showing up to work. People with family members. Hell, the fact that another reason why I can't give Sami Zayn any oh man, what you're doing is the right thing because I have the women of WWE. Randy, come on. The women wrestlers are showing up, and they got a good number of them got families at home. Tamina, I know she's got kids. Lacey Evans got kids. Sasha Banks has got her boyfriend, husband, the seamstress.
Becky Lynch came in pregnant.
Yeah, Becky Lynch, she's pregnant. So she had a legit reason. She could not show up.
But the fact that she was in there for at least the first month before she left, like she wrestled.
Exactly.
And
Thank you.
Hogan's also
pregnant. So to your point.
Exactly. See, that's what I'm talking about. Becky Lynch, she was Raw Women's Champion during this COVID shit, and she was and she can't tell us that she didn't know she was pregnant before then. We all knew she was pregnant prior to before that, but she couldn't make a definitive decision, like if she had to leave until that time, which of course is completely understandable. She was champion at the time, and she had to go.
So
That's completely understandable.
Here's a question with that because she did relinquish the title. I believe it was whether if it was the night after or the next week, she did relinquish the title. Because this is centered around Sami Zayn. if
Mhm.
Sami Zayn had done something similar when in that relinquishing the title for whatever reason, due to COVID concerns, they didn't WWE hasn't been, headstrong on mentioning COVID, but
Mhm.
he could have still relinquished the title instead of sitting on it. Would the offense be, lighter on Sami
Yes.
Zayn's title?
Yes, because if he had relinquished the title, I would have looked at him better. I would have said, "All right, Sammy, I get what you're saying. You can't come because of COVID, so I respect your decision for wanting to relinquish the title." But that ain't what he did. And what he chose to do was take the title and run with it. He thought he could do a CM Punk and dip with this championship. Like, nah, bro, we ain't doing that. Then there were people with one of the funniest comments I saw under the Sami Zayn, people trying to justify Sami Zayn leaving was that what they tried to use the Brock Lesnar excuse. And I said, how dare you use Brock Lesnar to compare Brock Lesnar to Sami Zayn? The whole situation is that whole situation is different because Brock Lesnar is not Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn will never be Brock Lesnar. He will never have that traction. He will never have those championship accolades. Hell, even if you disqualify the UFC shit, Sami Zayn will never be WWE champion. I still firmly believe that. He will never be Universal champion. I firmly believe that. So it's like, nah, bro. And then another thing that they tried to use when they tried to use the Andrade thing when he got suspended
Uh,
for 30 days, they
yeah.
tried to use that. And it's funny because when I was on the 434, I said that. I said when Andrade got suspended, I said they should have stripped him of that championship because if they don't, you're gonna hear the people that are now, well, not now obviously because people have just put Sami Zayn in the back burner. But when this whole when he got relinquished, when
Look,
WWE stripped him of the championship. If you looked at the comments, even if you looked at the 434, the WWE's Twitter page, Sami Zayn's Twitter page, a lot of people using the Andrade excuse. And I said, see, this is why you should have stripped Andrade because now you're gonna have people come on here and try to say, oh, well, Andrade was champion for you're supposed to defend that title for 30 days, but Andrade wasn't here for 30 days. And I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. And yeah, I can't use the Brock Lesnar excuse because Brock Lesnar, yeah, has he not defended that championship for 30 days? That's fine. But that's not on Vince. That's not on Brock Lesnar. That's on Vince McMahon. When Vince wants him to show up, Brock Lesnar, and you know it, it's true, Randy. Every time Brock Lesnar has shown up, it's because Vince has wanted him there. And he has never once. Well, actually, wait, no, let me not say that. There was one time he did. And I think that was when him and Vince got into a problem because of the WrestleMania thing with Roman Reigns. I think that might have been when he threw the championship at Vince's face and said, F this shit, I'm out of here. And then I think he had an argument with Vince and he didn't come to Raw. He was there at the show, but he left because him and Vince weren't agreeing on shit. But ever since that moment has been done, so that's one
I
instance
mean,
you have
I mean,
never seen.
you could also like just say by star power because like Brock Lesnar, it shouldn't even be an excuse because Brock is Brock, and
Exactly.
like these Monday Night Raws, these SmackDowns, NXTs, main events, they're all to build the stars of tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you build them. You don't necessarily use it on a John Cena because John Cena can appear out of nowhere and fall right into a main event of a show. Same thing with, to a lesser extent, even Big Show. So to your point, again, regardless, it doesn't even matter. Brock is Brock, Sami Zayn is Sami Zayn. So
And
I
even that, because you see, Brock Lesnar had no he was going into this. He was going into this with, okay, I'm gonna lose this championship to Drew McIntyre. So that's another thing right there. So before they even come up with try to use the Brock Lesnar Sami Zayn shit, let's be honest. They were both champions, but one knew he wasn't coming back for COVID and decided to drop that championship. Now, granted, it was kind of in the plans for a while, but you kind of didn't know iffy because let's be honest. Yeah, I remember, like I brought up, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. A lot of us thought Roman Reigns was walking out with that Universal Championship. Lo and behold, Brock Lesnar. You didn't believe that? You thought Brock Lesnar was retaining, Randy? Wow. Okay, you are in the rare minority. Wait, JJ, what about you? Did you think Brock Lesnar was retaining that, or did you think Roman was walking out?
in 34, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe he was gonna lose that one, but I believe they fought like through two other times. The
Yeah.
next time that he fought, I thought he was gonna win that one.
Okay, so Randy, you probably one of the few people I've ever met that actually thought Brock Lesnar was going to retain that championship. And as much as I love my boy Brock, I said this storyline was just tailored for this guy Roman Reigns, and he was going to go have his big hurrah moment. And now, granted, when he lost, I was very happy, very gung ho because it was my guy Brock. I was Brock retaining the championship is fine with me. But look at this, like the year after when he was going to lose to Drew McIntyre, he went into this knowing he was going to lose, knowing that he was going to lose to Drew McIntyre because he knew he wasn't coming back. He knew he wasn't coming back with this COVID shit. So he had no problem losing, and he made Drew McIntyre look good in defeat. That's how you do that shit. When you're champion and you know you're not coming back, you leave. You make sure you lose that championship. And not only do you lose it in a way that the person who's winning the championship can look good afterwards. That's not what Sami Zayn did. Sami Zayn took the title, retained it, and then dipped. You ain't gonna do that, bro. If you knew you weren't gonna come back, which I firmly believe he knew he wasn't gonna come back, because I know I'm like, bro, you ain't gonna convince me that your ass made that decision literally the next day that you weren't coming. Nah, bro. Because when the Miz sneezing thing happened, you were right there. You were there. You could have told Vince, all right, I'm not doing this. I'm gonna drop the title to Daniel Bryan, and I'm pretty sure everybody, if not everybody, a majority of people would have been happy to see Daniel Bryan as Intercontinental Champion again. So we could have done that, and then you could have dipped. But you didn't choose to do that. You chose to take the title, retain it, and go home with it. Like I said, you thought you could pull a CM Punk. You thought you could be a Brock Lesnar. But you ain't either one of those guys, my friend. You want to stay home? Stay home. But don't expect to get a championship again. Don't expect to get pushed again. And if this man ends up getting released, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. Even though I heard they're freezing his contract right now. So that when the COVID shit does happen, gets settled, and Sami Zayn probably starts thinking some thoughts about going to AEW or whatever. It's like, nah, bro. Nah, we got your ass on lock. You ain't going nowhere. You're gonna make up them days like Dash Wilder was supposed to do, and you're gonna stay here till we got your ass. Cause you want to play these games, we're gonna play these games too, son. We're not in the friendly business. This is a business, and you want to do that, then we're gonna treat you like this. Go ahead, JJ. What you want to say?
Yeah, no, I'm just afraid because no, what you said is facts, and I to take it a step further, I just fear the day that I see like Sami Zayn pull up and like lose to like El Torito or something. El Torito get hired like on a 10-day contract, and then like I feel like that's the type of shit that may happen. But you know what? You said it with your chest. You came correct. It seems like Randy's on the mend right now. He looks like he's in the corner of a boxing ring.
He's been contemplating. He's been contemplating. I see him. He's been contemplating. He's like, what do I say? What do I say to this?
Last thoughts for the both of you fellas.
Go ahead, People's Champion. Say what you got to say.
Listen, man. I admitted when I was wrong when Kevin Owens came back, and you came with your chest out and called me out because Kevin Owens came back, and I explained my reasons why when tensions were down, and who was there to apologize for? I mean, I was wrong that he was going to stay out longer. He came back the following week. It's great,
Mm-hmm. But I just want you to understand, this had nothing to do with no Roman Reigns. This had to do with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Because I never brought the guy up. Sami Zayn.
Whatever makes you sleep at night, I can contend to whatever claim you may have.
This little bastard, I swear.
I'm not gonna because you're not gonna acquiesce that fact. So whatever makes you sleep well at night, I'll allow it. But at the same time, it's like, listen.
Mm-hmm.
Randy's on his New York version of T.I.
Bro, I told you. I told you before. If your boy Reigns comes back during COVID, I'm gonna be up there with my chest, and I'm gonna call him out on his lying ass.
Anything.
But if he comes back after, apology.
Yeah. All right, fellas, it's been a pleasure. Y'all both said it with y'all chest. Backstage brawl, y'all gonna get this pretty soon. From your boy, Golden Child, we have the People's Champ, we have Mean Gene. We out. Peace.
Yes, sir. Peace.